All right, for this explainer, you and I are going to become ancient detectives. Our case file, it's a single, incredibly intricate debate from the Talmud. Now, our goal isn't just to solve the case, it's to get inside a unique and powerful way of thinking, one that's been shaping intellectual history for thousands of years. So, where does it all start? Well, it starts right here, with what looks like a pretty straightforward religious ceremony, a sin offering at the ancient temple in Jerusalem. But you see, hidden inside the tiny details of this one ritual is this profound intellectual puzzle, a real mystery of precision, interpretation, and of course, logic.
Okay, so before we get to the juicy part, the controversy, we gotta lay down the basic facts of the case, right? The foundational text for this, it's called the Mishnah, and it spells out the procedure for the sin offering. Think of this as our undisputed crime scene, this sequence of events that everybody agrees on.
So let's walk through this together. The priest goes up the ramp of the altar, he turns onto this ledge, and then applies just a dab of blood to 4 different corners in this very precise, almost dance-like sequence. Whatever blood is left over gets poured at the bottom. Seems simple enough, right? Well, not so fast.
And this is where our investigation really kicks off. Because that one simple instruction to put blood on the 4 corners, well, it turns out it's actually a little bit vague. And you have to understand, in the world of the Talmud, ambiguity isn't a mistake. Oh no, it's an invitation to go deeper. This is the question that just blows the whole case wide open. I mean, think about it for a second. Does on the corner mean on the absolute pinpoint edge, or just somewhere near the corner? Does it go on the top surface or on the side? The text doesn't say, and that one missing detail is what sparks this huge debate. And right away, we get our 2 competing theories from Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Elazar. One guy says, look, as long as you're in the ballpark, within about 18 inches or 1 cubit of the corner, you're good. It counts. But the other guy? Nope. He insists it has to be placed with pinpoint precision, right on the outer edge, so the blood actually runs down both sides. Now, this seems like a small disagreement, but trust me, it's just the tip of the iceberg.
To really get why they're arguing, we have to pull the camera back. We gotta zoom out and look at the whole thing from a different angle. Because this isn't really about a drop of blood. It's about 2 totally different ways of seeing the entire top of the altar.
So, a crucial piece of evidence comes into play. The red line. This was literally a line painted halfway up the altar. Think of it as a divider, separating offerings that were applied to the top half from ones that went on the bottom. And for our specific case, the sin offering, the blood had to go above this line. That little detail is going to be huge.
And here's where we find the real source of the conflict. It's actually an older debate between 2 foundational sages. Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi argues that, based on a verse in Ezekiel, the entire surface above that red line is basically corner territory. But Rabbi Elazar disagrees. He points to a verse in Leviticus that says on the corners, and to him, that means only the literal physical parts that stick out. So you see, the first debate was really just a symptom of this much deeper argument.
Okay, so we've got these 2 competing theories, and they're rooted in an even older debate. And right at this moment, a new piece of evidence gets brought into the courtroom, so to speak. It's an external teaching, it's called a baraita, and when you first see it, you think, okay, this is it. This is going to settle the argument for good.
And here it is, the smoking gun, the key line. This text says, clear as day, that the priest puts the blood on the outer edge of the corner. I mean, that seems like a total slam dunk for the precision side, right? It just flat out contradicts the idea that anywhere within a cubit is fine.
But wait, this is where you see the absolute genius of the Talmudic mindset. You know, a modern debater might say, ha, gotcha, you're wrong. But that's not what happens here. Instead, they ask this brilliant, much more interesting question. Okay, what if they're both right? How is that even possible? How do we make these 2 things fit together?
And the resolution is just so elegant. The sages figure out that the Baraita, the new evidence, is describing the ideal way to perform the commandment, the A+ gold star method. The other opinion, that's describing what's still considered valid after the fact, what's good enough. So you aim for the perfect edge, but if you're off by a little bit, you still fulfilled your obligation. It's this incredible system that makes room for both perfection and practicality.
So you'd think, case closed, right? But nope, our ancient detectives, they spot one last loose thread. Remember how the Mishnah mentioned that leftover blood gets poured at the base of the altar? Well, as we've learned by now, no detail is too small to be analyzed.
And this kicks off a whole new mini investigation. The text specifies the southern base. But why south? Why not north, or east, or west? There has to be a logic to it. And, you guessed it, there's a debate.
What's really cool is that the debate is all based on one shared idea: efficiency. Basically, what's the easiest, most logical spot for the priest to pour the blood when he's done? The argument is all about where the priest is coming from. Does he finish his job when he walks down the altar's ramp, which ends on the south side? Or should we compare it to a different offering, where he exits the main temple sanctuary, which would put him closer to the western base? So check this out. Both sides agree on the core logic. Do what's most efficient. They just disagree on the starting point. And get this, each side pulls out a different verse from the Torah to back up their starting point. It really shows you they aren't just reading scripture as a rule book. They're treating it like a database you can use to figure out underlying logical principles.
Okay, so let's step back for a second. After following all these twists and turns, what have we actually learned? I mean, what does a deep dive into blood placement really tell us? Well, it reveals the very engine, the heart, of Talmudic thinking.
Let's recap the clues we've uncovered. 1. Every single word matters. 2. Scripture isn't just a list of rules. It's a data set for logic. 3. Debates aren't just about winning. They're about exploring every single possibility. And 4, and this one might be my favorite, there's this beautiful, elegant distinction between the ideal way of doing something and the way that's still perfectly good enough.
You know, at the end of the day, this whole intense analysis, it was never just about getting a sacrifice right. It was a mental gymnasium. It was a system designed to sharpen your brain, to get you incredibly good at logic, textual analysis, and abstract reasoning. And those are skills that you can then apply to every other area of life.
And that kind of leaves us with a final question to chew on, doesn't it? In our own lives, in our work, our ethics, we face the same tension all the time. The difference between what's required and what's ideal. And this ancient debate asks us to consider that, well, maybe the most robust systems are the ones that have a clear definition and a clear place for both.